Guys, welcome. I'm Josh Javi. I'm your host of. Sorry, you already got me going this morning here, Lance. So I'm the host of Paradigm Shift, and today I've got Lance Furuyama joining me, and he's. I don't know. We connected 3-4 months ago or so on LinkedIn, and I think self-described or he is a construction industry troublemaker and among other things. And Lance, why don't you give everybody a little background on yourself, sir?
Yeah, my name's Lance Furuyama. I am in the Bay Area in California, and I just find myself in trouble all the time. That's how this all started. I work on the electrical contracting side. Started getting involved in LinkedIn about a year ago, and have really come to find my voice, my own opinion, and not being afraid to use it. Right, that's the big value I've taken away this past year. So that's how the troublemaker thing came about. I do work in multiple roles, so come and check out my LinkedIn, but I won't go into all of that right now. It's just I want to stay focused on what we're talking about. So.
Yeah. I don't have any set script, but really the point of Paradigm Shift in my podcast is just having conversations with people that are doing things differently and really wanting to make a change. And sometimes that involves a little bit of trouble. And I don't know, I really resonate with a lot of your stuff. You've got a great newsletter that you put out on LinkedIn, Construction LinkedIn, right?
Yep, LinkedIn construction.
Where you recap and you really, oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just curate other people's stuff. I've started writing a little bit again, but a lot of it really is like where the rubber meets the road, right? So in the world of like LinkedIn, YouTube, podcasts, everything's so idealistic, and you treat people with respect, and people treat you with respect out on sites, and everybody's happy, everybody's being done and treated well. And like I'm on a site that I've been working on over the last couple of weeks where I just saw somebody kick some wood over at a laborer because they got the cut wrong. And in the past, I would have said, "Not my problem. Just keep moving. Though they can handle it themselves. They're adults." Until you really think about like the power dynamic. Like one guy is the master electrician, and the other guy is a day laborer that got brought in and doesn't speak much English. And he doesn't really have the ability or the voice to say, "Hey man, that was messed up." He could, but he'd be probably out of a job, probably out with that agency that he's working with. And I said, you know what, forget about it. Like, instead of walking away like you would have done in the past, like a coward, I picked the wood up. I said, hey, we don't do that around here. I don't know where you're from, I don't know who raised you, but this is not okay. And I handed the guy the wood, and you could tell that it had an impact on him. Whereas for me, it was just another interaction that would have happened. I would have said, man, that guy's an a-hole, and kept it moving. And like, I'm really finding my place in standing up for the people that are doing the work. That's like one of my main passions right now.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Did you kind of grow up in construction? Like what's your background? Have you been in construction most of your life or?
No. My dad owned a flooring company as an installer. So, he says I used to help him. I remember carrying carpets in and taking a nap on it after he did the first room. I remember that much. But, as we got a little older, we got to be more useful. But I think it was more of a babysitting deal. And then I got out of it. I got, did all types of other random jobs, and eventually found my way back. It's nothing more satisfying, to be able to get your hands dirty and do something, and say that you were part of a team that built this or destroyed it. I'm more on the demolition and electrical demolition side, so I broke that building down. When you see, but there's nothing better, Josh.
That's
It's
always a
so much
fun
fun.
part of yeah, that's great. how did you uh, why LinkedIn like a year ago? Like what brought you there? Kind of what made you start to get active there?
Well, after being on so many projects, you start to make observations, and it was weird because when I talk to people about things, they're kind of like, "All right, you California hippy dippy, like that's not our world. That's not the rough and tumble world that we're in." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's basic human respect and principles. It's not. I'm not asking you to all sing kumbaya together. I'm just saying don't be such a jerk for no reason, right? For just because you're
Hmm.
struggling with something, don't project that onto everybody else. Is all I'm asking." And when I got onto
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, I logged in one day. I
Yeah.
don't remember why, but people were talking in the same fashion, and it really got me thinking, like, okay, I'm not crazy, right? Like, when you're the only one saying these things, you start to feel like maybe there's nothing there. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I'm being sensitive about it. And you see these prominent business leaders, firm owners, PMs, and superintendents talking about this. I'm like, cool. These are my people. This is where I belong. And
Mm.
again, everything's not going to be perfect, and the holistic solution that everyone's looking for, but we can make small improvements. And I think just finding a support system there really was a big thing for me.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I've been on there, not to make this about LinkedIn, but I found that I've had a similar opinion or approach to just treating people with respect, and I started to want to voice that more in the last year when I started my own business. And I thought, oh, there's not too many of us out there. And as
Yeah,
I started to voice that, everyone like you and a bunch of other people just came out of the woodwork, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not I'm not alone, you know, in
yeah,
this opinion. Like more people want to do the right thing and change this industry that we love. So yeah, it's I don't know. Are you on any other social sites, or are you mainly focused like LinkedIn?
yeah. I'm mostly focused on LinkedIn. I mean, if I start messing around with other stuff, I'll end up just watching memes and shorts and getting nothing done. So, attention span of cockroach, man.
Gotcha.
Really.
Right, right.
Yeah. So, Josh, can I
Wow.
ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah. So, what led to you starting your business and your podcast and all of that? I'm always curious about people's kind of quote unquote origin story, and I don't think I've had the pleasure of hearing yours.
Hmm. Wow. Uh, well, this is more about you, but I'll. uh, yeah, I saw a need to do things differently. Like I've always strived to be constantly learning and improving myself. I I never had a if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. I was like, no, we need to constantly evolve. Like you're not always going to get it right, and sometimes the newest thing isn't always better, but we need to be constantly evolving and doing better. Uh, and I don't see tech always as a solution. I think we forget a lot about like the fundamentals of just being a good human being, like on a
Yes.
construction site, like you were talking about. Um, and I really wanted to, you know, I'm I'm not doing this this podcast or starting my business to. Uh, I'm really doing it because I want to serve people and make I was making changes in myself, you know, physically, spiritually, and mentally, and working with coaches and mentors that have guided me along the way, and I really wanted to do the same and give back to other people and do the same thing, and lift everybody else up too. So that's really why I started, because I hate being on camera. I don't I'm not I don't want to be a social media personality. I'm not doing this for fame or fortune. Like I was scared shitless the couple podcasts that I started doing, or when I started recording myself.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I just felt it was time.
I think that's really cool, right? Because it almost sounds like we kind of had the same realization that what we're doing at the time doesn't align with the evolved version of yourself, and it almost feels like you're trapped,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you have to figure out a way to be able to exercise these new skills and these new talents and new mindset that you've realized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I think. How's your connection?
good, good.
Good, good. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that you know, I was in another career, and if you're really self-aware, things in certain points in your life, things you see kind of doors closing, or
Yeah.
things aren't running as smoothly as you think they should. And if you really listen to that and trust your intuition, it's just you don't get angry about that or pessimistic. You look at that as like, oh, I need to make a shift. Need to make a change, and I just kind of followed my intuition here, and so.
That's badass. I mean, I turned 40, and that's when things started to click for me, right? I'm like, God willing, I live to 80. I'm halfway through, so all of the foundation work should be done. But you're so reliant on whatever you have going on that you're afraid to stray too far from base camp. And it's like, well, I'm never going to get to the summit if I never leave
Mm-hmm.
base camp. And it's scary, right? It's super scary. It's like the ultimate thing for me was my pride, right? Because I excel in what I do,
Mm.
or what I was doing. And if I try this new thing or even step out on a ledge, I could come out looking like a real asshole at the end of it, just like a real moron. And that's what scared me.
Yeah.
But got over myself and said, let's have some fun. Let's really start living. Let's not exist. Let's live. Start getting some shit done.
Yeah, yeah, yep. I think I posted this morning about not doing things half-assed. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, we're here to just thrive, not survive. So, play around, screw things up a little bit. Um, yeah, I was just thinking, like, who are some um, mentors or people that you've had in the past that really helped to guide you?
Um, my dad's been a big influence. He's always been kind of an outside of the box thinker. Um, when he's 81 now, and he was telling me like an idea is nothing. You have to go and do it. He goes, he said, if you're just thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it, that's the same as everybody else. He said, get out there. If you fail, you fail. The rest of the world is always there. Whatever you're leaving is always there for you. You've already proven your worth there, so you could always go back to it if that's what it came down to. But he said once you've had a taste of living, you're not going to want to go back. And so yeah, my dad was a big
Yeah.
one. And then meeting Jesse Hernandez has been a big thing for me and Jennifer Lacey over the last year, because
Mm.
they're big on, like, if you take that leap and you fall on your face, you're still a step further ahead than you were if you just stood there looking. And it's all about getting back up.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I'm pretty resilient. Um, I said every guy in their 20s if they weren't married young, you've heard no. You've heard yeah, hey girl, how's it going? They're like, nah, I'm good. I'm like, oh, all right. So getting back up shouldn't be an issue. You've
Yeah.
heard so the young single guys heard no more than anything else.
Right.
And it's just
Yeah.
finding that resilience, right? Being able to get back up after you get turned down, rejected, dejected. Just being able to get back up. You take 10
Right.
leaps and you keep getting up. You look back and everybody's still standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'd say Jesse's been a big like crash test this thing. Get it out there, get minimum viable product out there and tweak it. Take the feedback, work from there, but don't just spend a whole year planning something, getting no feedback because you want it to be perfect, and it turns out to be a flop. And now
Right.
you've wasted a year, your ego's damaged, and you had no feedback loop from potential buyers, users, clients.
Right. Who's Jesse Hernandez for people that don't know?
Oh yeah, he's a crazy dude. No, he's a good guy. Big on LinkedIn and YouTube, but yeah, I think his YouTube podcast is called Learning and Missteps, and just search up
Hmm.
Jesus Jesse Hernandez on LinkedIn. Puts out a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Helps me reset a lot of times when I see him because we talk, but just the constant content really helps me kind of remember the things that we've talked about.
That's good. That's good. Would you have, talking about 20-year-olds again, do you have any advice for people, maybe thinking maybe they've seen your content or someone else's and they're like, yeah, I should really, maybe I've been thinking about, voicing my opinion on LinkedIn or getting more involved, but it's too saturated, or I'm not sure where to start, or I'm scared. Like, you have any advice for those people?
Well, it's never too late. That's the thing. There aren't many people that are actively contributing to the content feed. But I would say, understand where you're at in your journey when you're voicing these opinions. You might have some great ideas, you might have some great improvements that can be made, but you have to have some some tact and I guess awareness when you're doing it, right? Because people like to say, "Oh, these
Mm,
kids don't know anything; they think they know everything." And the truth is, a lot of times in these meetings, these kickoff meetings, they have the best ideas, but it's all about presentation, right? You can't present it as "I know better than you," and you've only been here for a day. Like the thing is, be humble, learn, and I think that a lot of the biggest conversations are had in private or in smaller groups, and contributing your thoughts to other people's content on LinkedIn. Like you can own
mm,
your idea, but don't come across as a know-it-all because it's not your fault that that's
yeah.
how you're painted, but it's the reality of the matter. You have to be a member of the community before you can come in and start trying to make changes. It's the same with tech, right? Everybody loves to dog on construction tech, saying like, "Hey, these guys they're not one of us. They don't know the problems." And the truth is, a lot of them do have really good solutions, but maybe they only talk to infrastructure contractors, and now they're thinking that they're going to roll out their thing and it's going to be good for
Mm-hmm.
painters and finishing trades. And you have to know the audience, right? So back to your original question, contribute to the community, build some clout, because if you're just popping in and sounding crazy, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. It's ugly, but stand in your ideas. Also, don't just fold when people push back. Like if you have a sound argument, do it respectfully. And a lot of times people are going to see that, like, yeah, maybe that interaction didn't go so well, but you held yourself with dignity and respect, and that's something that people remember.
Mm-hmm. Mm, mm.
A lot of trolls out there, so just be ready.
What
But
are there? I haven't seen a whole lot of. I haven't seen a whole lot of trolling on LinkedIn.
yeah, there's a decent
Do you
amount
get
out there.
some?
I've seen some, and it's
Yeah.
usually geared at younger people, right? Because they're outnumbered on that platform.
Hmm.
So the thing is,
Hmm.
write it out, think it through, and own it. Do not fold. That's I always say, just because you sat in traffic
Hmm.
longer than me doesn't make you a better driver. Like whenever people try, I say when people try to sun me on job sites because I got all this baby fat, they
Hmm.
think I'm younger than I actually am, and they try to talk crazy, and that's what I tell them. I said, you may have sat in traffic for 40 years, that doesn't make you a better driver. Like
Yeah.
I'm open to hearing what you have to say, but I'm the superintendent on this job for a reason. So
Yeah.
let's talk it through. Let's figure it out.
Nice. Mm. Lance, what's your why? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
My why at first was strictly for me, right? It was I'm better than what I'm doing right now, and it's on me. I have to take ownership of, like, it's going to be unrealized potential if I don't do anything about it. But it's also shifted now to setting a better example for my kids of, you don't have to just sit there and follow the crowd, follow the herd. Like, you have to build your knowledge base,
Mm.
you have to do your work. Like, people don't see the behind the scenes work that happens, right? So I've never believed there's a such thing as an overnight success, right? Kobe Bryant can shoot any shot left-handed, not because he's born better than you. It's because he spent 2 decades perfecting these moves that may never see the light of day. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a big believer of, like, showing my kids that, yes, on paper it looks easy and it looks like I'm just having fun, but I spend a lot of time editing videos, doing other things that I've started to hand off to other people, but it has to happen. And I'm trying to show them that the hard work is most of the time, and the fun stuff is what the public sees. And you have to be willing to get down to pursue your
Mm-hmm.
dreams. You have to be willing to really um, do it when nobody's watching. So that's my why. Try to teach them you have to be better.
Mm. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I
I'm like,
really. What's that?
I'm like the easiest interview, but I'm also like the toughest because I'm all over the place. So it's just
No, it's great, man. Um, yeah, I really see you as a bridge builder. I think there's a lot of people on LinkedIn just kind of, you know, shouting out their opinions and not really um, interacting, right?
Mhm.
Just dropping posts and not really interacting with people. But I really see you as like a bridge builder of people in the short time, I guess, that we've been connected. Um, I don't know if there's a question there, just just an
Um,
observation. So,
um, no,
uh,
it's very intentional. It's I try to stay connected with people that are a couple of steps ahead of me and a couple of steps behind me on the journey. Um, People ahead of me because I'm learning from them. It keeps me accountable on the days where maybe I don't want to do something, right, that's boring or mundane, but they've invested their time in me. So I owe them that, and I owe myself that to continue on the path. And the same thing with the people that I'm trying to pull up with me. Like, I remember, it was when you are putting in time to write posts and engage with people and maybe build a course or build a business or whatever it is you're trying to do, and you're not seeing the immediate traction that you thought you would. It's I think that's when most people mail it in out of, I think a lot of times it's out of a bruised ego, right? Because it's such a public platform, and it's just
yeah.
like, when you write something and you've poured your heart out into it and you get one like from your cousin and a comment from a bot, it's a very public it's a public embarrassment, and it's like, oh man, I'd rather just delete it and not have anybody ever have seen this. And And it's the
Yeah.
same with business, right? You start putting it out there and you don't get the traction. You start to wonder, like, is it there? Is this an actual viable idea, or am I in over my head? And I like to keep
Mm,
those people going because a lot of times that success is one step away and you just don't see it. And I like to keep pulling
yeah.
them along with me because hopefully they're, and all I ever ask of them is to do the same for somebody else. Um, because that's how we keep moving together. We keep moving forward. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big thing. That's why I connect so much because I know what it takes. I know if somebody put out a course and they DM me, they're like, "Hey man, I haven't sold a damn course in 3 months, and like, what's going on? I don't know what I'm doing." And I know that that feeling
Yeah.
can be just insane. It can really mess with your head. So I just try to be there for people that are that are
Yeah.
doing the damn thing.
Yeah. No, I feel that. You know what's funny? When maybe a post doesn't get a like or something like that, some of those, and you really poured your heart into that.
That sucks.
I've found that it's some of those posts where I've had people, they may not have commented, they may not have given it a thumbs up or a heart, but I've received numerous phone calls and they're like,
Mhm.
dude, that post really resonated with me. And I was like, not that I need outside validation, but
It helps.
I'm just saying, well, it helps, but yeah, don't get discouraged. Like it's all
Yeah,
about putting in reps too, you know? Um,
yeah. I always try
so
to say it's about
yeah,
impact versus impressions and likes, right? If you touch somebody to the point where they maybe changed the way that they looked at things, or just gave them the freedom to do what it is that they want to do, you'll never know that unless you somehow stumble into a conversation. But there is impact
yeah,
happening out there, and there are no metrics or online systems to measure that. And just if you really believe in what you're doing, just keep doing it.
yep, cool. Lance, I always ask people when you were a kid, what'd you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a professional surfer. I surfed every day when I lived in Hawaii, and I drowned three
Really?
times. I did, yeah. I
Wow.
drowned 3 times though. So board hit me in the head, out, lifeguard saving me,
Oh
kind
man.
of thing. And it's it's funny, after the third time you get so gun shy that you're like you're useless out there, and that's when I just stopped doing it altogether. So because the first 2 times it happened,
Okay.
I
You're not.
wasn't conscious for the most part. On the third time, I was very much aware of what was
Mm,
happening. So, not a fan.
wow. You're not surfing up at Half Moon Bay up there.
Negative. You're more likely to find me playing golf.
Gotcha. Cool. Um, well, I know we're running short on time, and we got to get back to work. But you have any piece of advice or a favorite quote for us to send us off before we go?
Yeah, piece of advice is, every day you wake up is an opportunity because not everybody gets that. So take full advantage. Don't push things off until tomorrow because it's not promised. Just some light thoughts.
Love it. Love it. Uh, Lance, where can people find you and connect with you online?
You can find me on LinkedIn, on MySpace, on Friends. No, just on LinkedIn. That's the only place you can find me. So just Lance Furuyama, and be happy to connect.
Cool. We'll link that in the show notes and man, I appreciate it. We'll appreciate you getting on and great talking to you, man.
Thanks, Josh. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed your podcast series. I won't ask who's coming up next. I'll stay surprised with everybody else. But yeah, it's been good. I really enjoy the format that you're using.
Thanks. I'm going to keep it going. So, well, thanks again. And thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on the next podcast.
See you next time.